This episode of Sewing Out Loud is brought to you by our Amazon influencer shop. Go to sewhere.com/Amazon to shop all of our sewing recommendations.
Welcome to Sewing Out Loud, the official podcast of Zede Sewing Studio. Here are your hosts, Zede and Mallory.
Sewing Out Loud. Okay, hello and welcome to the podcast. I'm Mallory Donahue.
And I'm Zede Donahue.
And this is take number 2 of this podcast topic. We've had to...
It's got to be better. Those other questions were not good.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Turn toward the microphone. You're turning away from the microphone.
Okay. So, Sam, this will be a good one.
All right.
Because we made up the questions.
Yeah, I kind of I tried to do this year in review set of questions, and it was from a self-help podcast like that I listened to. And I didn't give Mom the questions beforehand. So I just asked her.
They were all the same question.
And then they were all really similar. So if you didn't get them beforehand, what I mean is like they all sounded really similar.
They're all the same question.
But this is a good sewing themed one, I think. We don't often have to re-record podcast episodes, but it can happen. I think we had to
Maybe it should happen more than we think.
Maybe it should. Maybe it should. You can let us know. All right. Well, let's start off on a positive note. Okay.
I didn't think we were going to be negative, but if you want me to, I can pull that out of the hat too. Go
I
ahead.
know. That's why I was like, let's start positive.
Okay,
Otherwise, Mom's just going to drag down this podcast.
I'm such a downer.
Okay. What was your favorite thing that you sewed this year?
It was probably the costumes for the aerial showcase.
Yeah.
Because they turned out very successful.
Uh-huh.
They fit everybody really well. It was the first time I had made an aerial costume.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It was a first for you.
Yeah.
Even though, how old are you?
It was a first, it's like the elements of it weren't the first, but it was the first time I put all those elements together.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
That kind of thing. So it's like, ooh, I have this knowledge and I can put it here and here and here. And oh, look what happens.
I would say that my favorite thing that I sewed, I was about to say my cape, but I think actually it was the Halloween costumes, the Lightning McQueen.
Lightning McQueen was good.
I am very proud of that costume.
And actually, that sort of
it's from
overlapped the aerial because
totally.
we used some of this. And I mentioned this in another podcast, but that when the Rockettes costumes came out, the new ones they only do new ones about every 3 years or so. They really reuse. They're very good about using their costumes over and over. And it was like, oh, that's the elements I use.
The techniques.
I am on trend. And so there was another positiveness about it. It was like reinforced that, at least I'm still in the groove. Right?
I am about to use our spandex applique techniques again, actually, making a Christmas present for Zelda. So anyway, the Lightning McQueen costume, I'm very proud of it. It kind of like went faster than I thought it would. Turned out really nicely.
It really just turned out.
Jerome looked super cute in his costume.
Yeah.
And so Jerome was
the forklift.
Yeah, but he was like 13 months old, and we thought we'd just have to like carry him around to trick or treat, and he was like running everywhere.
He was a forklift
in his little sequin pants, and it was just darling. Like I just couldn't get over it. They were so cute. Plus, it's not just that I think my kids are cute. They are. But, okay, on top of that, it was just hilarious to see them enjoying themselves like they were. So I was really happy with that.
And actually, Zelda wore her Lightning McQueen to my aerial performance.
That's right. They were together.
They all went together,
Yep. And she can still wear that bomber jacket.
I want that bomber jacket.
She's going to have it for a long time.
Yeah, I know. I think I need to make myself one.
Okay, so that was favorite. What's your least favorite thing that you sewed?
I'm sure it was for someone else.
Can you share about that,
I don't
Mom?
know if I can.
How do you feel about that?
What's
kind of
bad?
feelings?
Here's the bad feelings. I haven't sewn it yet.
Right.
And I'm already not liking it. That's when you really know. I said I would do something for someone. And New Year's resolution, not happening.
Hey, that's coming up. You're skipping ahead.
Oh, okay. All right, I'll tell you all about that later.
Resolution?
Yeah, resolution.
Okay, all right,
anyway,
go ahead.
It was to solve a problem.
This story started off good.
It started off really good because the person listened to me. I made the first prototype, not really a prototype, I made the sloper.
Yeah.
And it was perfection, and the person was really happy with it. And then, we needed to do some other things to make it help with the problem.
Right.
And I said, it's going to have to be this kind of fabric and this kind of fabric. And this person insisted and bought this fabric that won't work.
It won't work.
It will not work. Now, I could make it work, but it would take me hundreds and hundreds of hours of appliquing this fabric to another fabric, and it's stupid.
Yeah.
It's
not
pointless.
Worth it. Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And I keep trying to explain to this person, and this person will not accept the explanation. Now, I've accepted no fees for this.
Yeah.
So I can throw this back at, the person. But, some people just don't listen. And I don't like repeating myself. Okay, and saying, and I gave instructions. I even said, I will meet you there to purchase this fabric. And they went ahead and they got this fabric, and it's not even suited for garment.
Yeah, we had this project down as a podcast episode because I was like,
right.
Well, once you get it finished, let's podcast about it. It was so cool, the way it started off.
And I thought about going and purchasing the correct fabric and making it the way I believe it will work.
Slippery slope, though, right?
Well, yeah, then look at all the work I've done.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to, no. And when you all reach my decade of age, okay, and I think there's plenty of you out there, okay? I'm a sextagenarian. Hey, you can only be a sextagenarian for 10 years.
Okay, aren't you going to be a sextagenarian
this
next year?
I am. But
that's not
how cool is that to be able to say you're a sextagenarian? Anyway.
It seems like something you would be really excited about.
I like it. But anyway, because next I'm a septuagenarian. What's that? Like a septum?
It sounds, I was going to say, it sounds very medical, doesn't
yes,
it?
Does.
Yeah.
Yes, it doesn't sound like.
Okay, well, let's finish this podcast before you're a septuagenarian.
Anyway.
Okay.
So, my time is invested. My emotions are invested.
Yeah.
And I don't like it.
It seems like this is taking up maybe even more mental space.
Well, that's it.
The mental space,
right?
Upsetting.
So when you think about doing these things for other people, and I used to have mental space. Maybe I was willing to lend out, and I maybe used to have maybe some energy. I don't have that anymore.
Right.
I'm not. I want to do things for myself and my family. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what I want to do now. How much volunteering have I done in my life, Mallory?
A ton. And you did also this year have a good experience sewing for other people.
I did.
You sewed
Yes.
your friend's Ariel costumes.
And guess what?
And it was great.
And
they
guess
listened.
what? They did not demand anything. They
Right.
I mean, the one person said, I would like it to be these colors,
Mhm.
and I would like it to look like this because I want my waist to look small.
Right.
That was it.
Right.
Okay. It was not what fabric, what anything. And when I showed them the samples, they were like, oh, this is magnificent,
Right.
And my partner in performing, she was like, whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
She goes, this is great. I love, she goes, I'll wear a black leotard if you want me to. You don't even have to make mine, And I'm
Right.
like, no, it's fine.
So you can, of course,
Right.
for anybody who's like, Mallory and Zede are always bitching about clothes.
Well, I think what it is, it's sort of like this.
It's upsetting.
It's this tug of war of control almost.
No, I think
it's like, I know what I'm doing. You have to, give me some power here.
Right.
And
Okay.
not waste my time.
So Zede's only going to sew for nice people who listen, right? So that was your least
I'm going
favorite.
to sew for people and surprise them. I'm not going to even ask them and go, oh, look what I made you.
Ta-da!
Yeah.
Okay, my least favorite. Oh man, I don't know if I can talk about my least favorite thing. Did that happen this year? That may have been last year.
Which one?
Remember that fabric that I won't touch anymore? That was last year.
No, I don't. What fabric was it?
Okay, no, I can't.
Oh.
Okay.
You have to think of a new one.
Still,
you have to act like it's
I'm
with
still
this year.
angry.
Or you have to lie.
I'm still angry about that other thing that someone
again, mental space.
Oh, it was so bad.
See, you don't need to give up your mental space.
Right.
That's the bad thing.
I think my least favorite thing that I had to do was take out those pleats in that Sweeney Todd costume.
Oh, really?
I liked actually.
I thought you were going to talk about a wedding dress.
I don't know.
It turned out that it was okay.
It turned out
but while
fine.
we were doing it was freaky.
It was stressful.
Yeah.
Yes. Actually, I'm sort of in hindsight thankful for that experience. But that one.
See, that's it. You don't know sometimes.
That's right. That's right.
Pre-assessing the situation is
not
always perfect.
I actually enjoyed doing some of the costume alterations for Sweeney Todd. Like I was
the pleats of the.
You didn't have to see it.
I guess I didn't know these.
But there were a couple things that were just tedious and stuff. And actually, I really didn't spend a lot of time sewing undesirable things this year.
Yeah.
So that's
no, I
good.
didn't either. I didn't really either.
Okay. So
because maybe we're getting smarter.
Yeah, maybe we're getting smarter.
Maybe it's a possibility.
Now, what was the most challenging thing you sewed this year? Like, what challenged you? And I would say, okay, I'm going to answer first this time.
Uh-huh.
I think that wedding dress actually, in terms of like time consumption and maybe like time crunch and sort of working around.
And that I was like one day post-op.
Yeah, you were like ill, basically.
I was like drugged and in pain and tired and sick.
But I had to deal with a few things in that dress that were challenging. So I just said, I don't think challenging necessarily means a bad experience. Okay.
Well, if it works,
then you're
if
happy.
You meet the challenge and it's successful, you're like, wow, I'm king of the mountain. But
like taking off those appliques that required taking off the beads and then saving the beads and that wedding dress, which we talked about in a previous podcast, and working with that fabric, which was weird.
It was not. It was sort of inexpensive fabric, so a lot of times it's harder to work with.
It's not that it was inexpensive or cheap, because like I've worked with cheap fabric before that sewed up better.
Well,
like
sometimes
what the heck?
Cheap fabric isn't that bad,
right?
But yeah.
I think about Carolyn's wedding dress, about my mother-in-law's wedding dress that you sewed, and like the fabric for that was so inexpensive. Like we found the right fabric.
It was the right fabric,
and it was like. It was like $4 a yard, wasn't it?
I think it was 4 or 6 or something like that.
It was this poly chiffon that sewed up.
No, it was a crepe.
There's crepe and chiffon. There was some chiffon, wasn't there?
No.
Okay, just kidding. Poly crepe that sewed up great.
But there's chiffon that sews up good
okay,
too. Yeah.
And so I just think about how this, anyway, the fabric, I will.
Right.
It was hard to deal with. It was a stressful situation. We didn't get to do a final fitting, so that was also stressful.
We didn't do an initial fitting, did we?
Yeah, we
did.
I did it.
Oh, you
did
one.
Yeah.
Okay. It didn't come just marked.
Right.
You actually fitted it. Well, that's good.
So that was my most challenging sew for this year, I would say. And like I said, I was grateful for it. I used all of those techniques that we covered in the month of making fancy stuff.
Right.
Zine. We covered that. We took pictures of garments that you'd made, excuse me.
Right.
That I'd written about and everything, and I really got to use this stuff. So that was fun. It was cool. It was cool to do that. I don't get to alter wedding dresses every day, and I don't want to, but it was a neat challenge. So do you have a challenging sew?
Well, I honestly think it was, I hate to go back to this, but it was my big sew of the year.
Your
Ariel costumes. These were unitards, which is, I believe, one of the most difficult things to fit.
Yeah.
Because you're fitting the entire body. You're going from top to bottom.
Yeah.
And then also, taking into account their purpose. Okay, they need to look pretty. They need to be fitted, and they have to work with all of, with this apparatus that's being wrapped around it and torturing it.
Well, and you had to fit yourself. You and Jen sort of have similar body types.
No.
Oh, no? Was she really a lot different from you?
Yeah.
I thought she was like your height.
Oh, no.
Oh.
She's like long legs and everything.
Oh, so she's different
tall.
proportions.
Yeah, no, she's like 5'6", 5'7".
That's Lacey, not Jen.
No, Lacey's 5'10".
Jen is 5'6"?
I'd say she's 5'6".
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
5'6".
Sorry.
I don't. She could be 5'7".
So you had to sew unitards.
No, I look like their pet. Like in all the pictures that they took at this show, I look like they brought me along as their mascot. I do.
Your little mini version.
Yes, and there are a couple girls. There's this one girl, Ashton, who's just joined, and she is my body shape.
Okay.
Like she's a fire plug with boobs.
Yeah,
you know, she even has dark hair,
if
right? And I'm like, you need to hang around so I don't look like the only mascot.
If Haley is listening, she has a podcast, and the Very Serious Crafts podcast, and she described her shape as a child with like double D boobs.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's like Zede.
I'm a fire plug.
Yeah,
although I have a waist, but it's weird.
Well,
like,
she has a waist. She just meant like she's very, she's like
I'm
very
a fire
short.
Plug. Yeah, I'm a fire plug with boobs.
Okay.
And my boobs actually were kind of an issue with this costume, like fitting them in and making them. I wanted to try and make them look a little smaller, but not like I mashed them up against myself. You know, there was a whole boob dilemma there, you know. So, and then Lacey. So Lacey's and my costume were not exactly the same, but they were very similar because we did this duet, but I didn't want them to be exactly the same, so that if we wanted to wear them again, you know, maybe we could, although they did wind up looking awfully similar. But, so I'm trying to mirror these costumes, and she's 5'10" and I'm 5'1". She's not boobish, and I am, you know, boobalicious. And
you had a boobalema.
I had a boobalema. And so I had to, like, you know, cut these costumes, draft these costumes, and make them look the same on these two bizarre, which the Rockette costumer doesn't have to do because they pick those girls.
Them,
they're all within
all
like 3-inch, like they're like, you know, something like, you know, 5'6" to 5'8", and you know, they weigh like between, you know, 120 and 130 pounds, and you know, whatever. So she just cuts one costume out, like, you know, but so, and it worked. You know, and everybody had a really nice costume and a really nice time, and we will be able to use them again if we want. And they were comfortable, and there was a performance, you know, at 2 and one at like 6:30 or 7 or whatever it was, and we wore them the whole time, and nobody was like terribly uncomfortable or got a UTI, which you might think about when you're doing a unitard. So, and then the actual construction of them and the applique. I had to really sort of refine that.
You did, and we did that. We shared all of that in the Zigzag live broadcast in was that October?
Yes, I think so. And I had to refine that applique process on the power mesh and the stretch, you know, spandex. And I did. And what was nice about that is a little bit of research can go a long way, because boy, when I got down to doing it, it went fast, it was efficient, and it looked nice.
Some testing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's take a quick message break and come back and finish up our end-of-year sewing questions. This episode of Sewing Out Loud is brought to you by our Amazon Influencer Shop. That's right, all of our Amazon recommendations are in one place at sewhere.com/Amazon.
We've organized our store with lists like lingerie sewing supplies, pressing tools, sewing reference books, and we're adding more all the time. Do you have a request for a list of our recommendations? Let us know, and we'll put one together.
When you purchase through our Amazon Influencer Store, Sew Here receives an affiliate commission at no extra cost to you. Help support the podcast while shopping our favorite items that make our sewing lives great. You can even tell your friends and family to shop from our store so that you get fabulous sewing goodies for the holidays. Go to sewhere.com/Amazon to shop now. Sewing out loud. All right, Mom. What machine did you use the most this year?
I can't decide if it was the
Serger.
The Serger. Exactly. It was the Ovation or the Enlighten. I'm not sure.
You definitely.
I'm not sure. And then I think they're tied.
Yeah.
I think they're tied because I kept them. You know, I was spandex happy this year for sure.
Yes.
And then I would say the Destiny was second. I don't think I used the Jane except like twice for some, which is now the Accomplish. She has a new name. Yeah, I think maybe I used it twice.
Yeah. So I would say though that I used the Enlighten the most, because once I'm in the knits for myself and for my kids.
Yeah, you use the Jane a lot
but
too.
Then I use the Destiny a lot for that applique, too, on that Lightning McQueen costume. Yeah. I'm thinking, so
that's what I did most. Yeah, that's what I did my applique. I mean, well, I needed a zigzag. Jane doesn't zig or zag.
Nope, she doesn't.
Yeah,
I'm gonna be using...
Jane is the workhorse,
vroom, vroom.
Quasi commercial machine.
I'm gonna be using the Jane a lot next year in Jeans month.
Although I think I might have used the Jane on that wedding dress.
Oh yeah, that would be a good place to use it. Okay, what non-sewing machine tool, not a machine,
right?
What tool did you use the most other than the sewing machine this year?
Well, if you can call glue a tool, it would be glue. Spray glue, guys. Love spray glue. I'm in love with it all over again. There's many kinds out there, too, that I tried. So
tell us all about that. No,
I don't know if I can, but and I was using temporary glue. So I wanted glue that would wash away or that was temporary.
You had glue specs for sure.
So and I got really good at using it.
Yeah.
Don't spray in one area too much, blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. So also don't spray your temporary glue, put everything down and then fall asleep and wake up 8 hours later and
all your stuff's
got moved. Yes.
Okay, I would say that I know you use this too, but I cut out a lot of things this year, cut a lot of fabric and stuff this year. So I would say the rotary cutter and the big ruler on our cutting mat was mine.
I would just say the rotary cutter for me is nothing new to be using.
No. Well, and it wasn't new for me.
I use that sucker a lot though.
I feel like I was just doing, I don't know. I don't have a good non-sewing
Well, the rotary cutter is a sewing tool, so you have to think of something else.
No, non-sewing machine.
Oh, non-sewing machine. Oh, boy, you qualified that. You said that right, didn't you? Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I made up the question and I read it.
Yeah, you did.
And you heard it. Yeah. I never changed it.
Glue, though, man. Glue's good stuff.
You're real special.
You do have to be careful about glue with your sewing machine because you don't want to glue.
And I would say
that gets in your mechanism or cut. So think about. With glue, you also need isopropyl alcohol to make sure you keep things clean and tidy.
I use tracing paper a lot too this year. And
so did I, but I don't think any more than usual.
Okay, stop trying to one-up me.
I just don't think any more than usual. Yeah. Okay.
All right. Okay. What do you want to sew next year? Like a specific project that you have in mind? Do you have a specific?
Strappy leotards.
Okay.
That's one.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. This keeps changing in my mind, like what I want to sew next year. But I've got two things. I want to sew some high-waisted sort of drop crotch trousers.
Yeah, I want high-waisted underpants.
Okay.
I'm doing lots of floozy doozies.
I was going to say, we
year.
have that covered. Yeah. So I want to sew those. I wore those tux pants in Sweeney Todd, and they were so comfortable. But I was like, I think that maybe I don't want to wear as many, tight-fitting skinny jeans, because these were, stylish looking and cool. And
well, the
want to experiment with a new
the
silhouette.
The pant that hangs from your hip is a cool-looking pant.
Yeah, I want to try.
And they can be, very big-legged, or they can sort of hang straight like a stovepipe, what I call a stovepipe leg. So, there's all kinds of things to do with that.
And then something else, though, that I really want to sew is some more shirt dresses. I really liked my shirt dress during the summer, and I would like to make some with sleeves. So I made that one sleeveless, and it was, just so fun to wear. So I want to sew some more of those.
Out of necessity, I need to make myself some shirts. Man, I'm in bad shape in the shirt category.
You got plenty of leggings?
No. Well, I don't have plenty of what I would call bottoms. Okay. I can go to the gym like 40 days in a row probably without doing laundry,
Right.
but I cannot live out in the real world.
But where do you go?
Well, I go
where
to the gym,
do you go?
and then I just
right?
put a jacket on and go to the grocery
There
store.
you go.
So,
Okay.
and honestly, they feel the best on me. So, but I think that's another thing. Do you have anything? What I don't want to screw up your other questions, but do you think I could possibly get any more spandex in the studio?
What's your spandex threshold?
Yes. It's like, oh, that stretches and it's glittery. Oh, that stretches and it's watery colory looking. Oh, that stretches and it's solid. I need some solids. Oh, well, that stretches and I'll think of something to make out of it.
There you go. As long as Zede's really into the knits.
I'm just like, I think I need to start accumulating more stripes in the knits. I don't have enough four-way stretch stripes.
Some more stretch wovens, like for my trousers.
So you want some wovens with some spandex?
Yeah, like I want some stretch wovens for.
There's some back there that you probably don't know about.
Oh, you'll have to show. Actually, and
yeah.
I have some, but I think that I'm kind of wanting a few items that look a little more
woven,
tailored and woven.
Not
that I'm against the stretchy stuff, but
I think that till I put them on, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm confined. I feel claustrophobic these days.
And I think that's why I want the stretch woven. So anyway, I would like us to buy some more of those, or just discover them in the back.
Accumulate.
Yes. Okay. What do you? Oh, you know what? Did I?
You don't. You can't read
missed
your own question.
missed
go
a question.
Back. Go ahead.
Go.
What is it? Maybe we can answer.
Here. Okay. What did you make this year that was not sewing that you were proud of?
Oh, and I forgot. What was it?
Your tooth.
Oh, my tooth.
I had to include this question,
yes,
so that Mom could tell this story about her tooth. Okay, she's winding up.
I hate this crap. Okay, so much I hate this because,
except it makes for a good podcast story.
It does. It does. The quick podcast story is that I put up that wallpaper mural in the camper that was a
Okay, you only get one.
Oh, okay,
you only get one.
Then I won't. Okay. Okay, I'll go. Let's go back.
I'm kidding.
Let's go back to Anyway, so I had to have this. I broke a tooth. And they had to take the tooth out from the root. So then I'm going into the implant, getting a post put in. So I have this big space in the front side.
Okay, Mom's missing a tooth right now.
Yeah, it's horrible. And
is it your canine?
No, it's my front second. It's not the front incisor, the one right next to it. The second incisor, on the side. So there's this space which I could put a straw in. It would work really well. But cosmetically, it's really, really a challenge. Anyway, so they made me this thing, and I don't know why they call it this. It's like a temporary partial plate, and they call it a flipper. If anybody knows why it's called a flipper, please tell me, because the oral surgeon doesn't know why it's called a flipper. I think it's because you can flip it in and out. Uh-huh. So the way they had to make this was with just this one little tooth on it that's on this little plate that fits behind my other teeth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the tooth was out on this little peninsula of acrylic that it's made out of. And when we got it in, the dentist said, well, this doesn't look like it's going to last very long. I'm like, oh, great.
Because it cost me hundreds of dollars.
Yeah, it wasn't cheap either, right? And it's temporary, supposedly. Although I've been wearing it for almost 6 months, but it was temporary. And anyway, I am up, in my aerial thing, and I think I've told the story already, but I am up. Did I?
I don't know.
I think I did. But anyway, I'm at a workshop, and I'm 19 feet in the air, hanging upside down, and the tooth breaks off the plate. Okay.
What were you doing with your tongue?
Well, I do think that's part of what it is, that you're upside down, you're hanging. I think I thrust my tongue to the top of my mouth.
Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm trying to hold this tooth in my mouth, and I'm thinking everybody's watching you because you're in a workshop, and they're like, you need to go up there and do this. And the whole group is watching you, right? Because you're going to get critiqued. I got critiqued on how I held the tooth in my mouth. So anyway, I come down and I have to show everybody that I have a tooth missing. Mm-hmm. And it's in my, and some of them were laughing and some of them felt bad for me, but whatever. And then I had to go the rest of the workshop with this big space right in the front of, my mouth. And there were a lot of jokes being cracked. And then we had to do a an impromptu, right, thing, something on the silks and portray an emotion. And mine was very pissed off. And most people guessed it. So anyway, what I did is, so I happened to be friends with my dentist, and I sent her a picture of the tooth and the plate apart, on the phone, and said, can I glue this? Because it's like Saturday morning.
Right.
Right? I know I'm going to get any help from anybody. And she said, this is funny. This is how I'm known to people. She said, I would tell anyone else, don't you dare touch that. And she says, but you go ahead and, have at it. See what you can do. So I did. So I glued my tooth on, and I actually took a finding.
A jewelry finding.
A finding, a pin with a loop on the end of it, a jewelry finding, cut it off at an angle so that it would go up against the back of this tooth and onto the plate, and the circle that it had would go over the fractured part.
Right.
Because it's like this clean fracture.
So it's like your reinforcement.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which, that's what they should have done in the first
place. They should
place.
hire you for design.
They should have had a wire in this little peninsula to begin with.
Right.
So anyway, I glued it, and then I put extra glue on top of that to like seal that in and everything. And then when I went back to the oral surgeon, who's different from my dentist, and he saw this, he was like, wow. I'm really impressed. I go, and he goes, with your tooth and what you do, how you put this on here. And I was like, oh. And it's funny what he said to me, because I want you all to hear this. He goes, you do a lot of things for yourself, don't you? You can fix a lot of things. And I thought, yes, I can, and I do. I don't wait around for somebody else to figure it out. And I think a lot of us in this group are like that.
Yeah, you're like,
we see a problem, we go, I can sew that together, I can glue that, I can wire that, I can saw that, or whatever, because I don't think our only tool is the sewing machine.
No, I think that a lot of people are creative in other ways.
Right.
Okay.
So my tooth is still together. It's been like over a month.
I was going to say, it's been a while.
It's been over a month, and it's still together. Yes.
Okay. What I did this year that was not sewing was,
oh my gosh,
making 168 pies.
Hand pies
for Sweeney Todd.
Mrs. Lovett's
meat pies. And all of them, except for the last 12, had a handmade crust. So I used store-bought pie crust for the last 12. They sucked.
I was going to say, I wondered if anybody noticed a difference.
Well, I told them, because I was like, hey, everybody, I'm really sorry. These are store-bought pie crust. I have a feeling they're not going to taste quite the same, because we had to eat them on stage, obviously. And so anyway, yeah, they totally sucked.
Well, and actually there was an actor who had to eat a pie and act like it was no good. And he said he really had to act.
Yes.
He really had to pull his acting it because it was such a good pie.
Yeah. Yeah, he really liked the he had to it's like when before they kill the people, and he's supposed to spit it out, and she's like, spit it on the floor, it's fine. And he's like, oh, these are good, So
I really believe there's something about people who sew, and maybe you got into sewing because you were like this, that we cook, we garden,
right,
we paint furniture, we whatever. It's like, we're do-it-yourselfers.
Well, and I paid attention to the script. There is a lyric that says
something about the pie. Yeah.
She says, things like being careful with your coriander, that's what makes the gravy grander.
Oh.
And so I toasted my own coriander seeds and ground them, because I thought we only had whole coriander seeds. We definitely had ground coriander, I found later. And I was like, gosh darn it.
That would be perfect for the front of
an apron.
Yes.
But anyway, so I sort of approached it like I would the costumes, like when people mention costumes and things like that. So like we talked about in our costuming series. So that was fun to make those, and I like baking. Stuff like that. So anyway, that was what I did that was not sewing in 2018. what do you want to do what do you want to make that's non-sewing in 2019?
Furniture.
You want to make furniture.
Well,
don't whisper about it.
I'm going to rehab probably furniture.
You know what? You are, because we got a home deck month coming up. So.
And I'm going to rehab some furniture, and I'm going to make more dog beds. It's sort of like the home deck area.
Everybody.
Now, dog beds I sew.
Okay, everybody get to go on Instagram and go to @ZedeDonahue and just comment on a photo or DM her and be like, take pictures while you're doing this
Sometimes
stuff.
I take pictures and then I don't post them.
No, you just need to take pictures so I can have them when I'm trying to create
maybe
the media.
I should just send them to you.
Yes. Remind me to take pictures.
Sort of in the furniture mode, and that's like sort of thing, and making. I'm going to put a roof on the deck of the pond.
You're not going to sew that for sure.
That will not be sewing. But Mallory and I have discussed whether we need like full-length draperies on the sides of the deck that we could like close off.
I hope that roof doesn't mess up our lighting, because we take really good photos on that dock.
Well, the way that the sun goes under there, probably not. It's going to be pretty tall.
Oh, well.
Well, who knows?
So you're going to...
I'll buy you some more
furniture and...
it's sort of like, it's sort of like the furniture rehabilitation sort of home thing, I think, more or less.
Good.
Yeah, I hope that's it, too.
What? Do you think
I hope there isn't some more stuff that shows up, like dog corsets and...
Or another tooth.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, I have a non-sewing thing I want to make. It's not sewing, but it's knitting. And I want to knit a sweater.
You do?
For myself.
Okay.
And I want to make it out of, like, not super fine yarn. I think there's this yarn and this pattern by a lady named Mallory. I can't remember what weight it is. I think it might be finer than worsted. I'm not really a great knitter. But it's just like knitting. Like, there's no Fair Isle. There's no color work. There's no nothing. Like, the yarn is dyed to sort of fade into different colors. And I would like to have a knitted sweater. I think I want this. I really do. I think I want to knit one.
I think you should.
Yeah. So anyway, the other thing, I'm doing another show. I'm assistant directing a show called White People at the same theater where I did Sweeney Todd. And I just have to bring this up because it's so interesting at the auditions. One of the monologues that a character reads, it was very much about clothing.
Oh.
So these people, it's called White People. It's about, racism. And 3 different characters do monologues, and there's a character who is the most racist of them all, I guess. And he is talking about how he thinks people should dress a certain way. Actually, he's a person from Brooklyn who is demeaning and belittling people from St. Louis, Missouri for how they dress. So that's, very nice and interesting. Anyway, the actor who actually got the role, he was wearing what the character had described himself wearing. He says French cuffs, tie tied like this, a suit
in New York.
He was wearing, what the man's talking about. He lives in St. Louis.
Oh, he lives in St. Louis.
Okay, they live in St. Louis now. And so anyway, he was wearing what the script was describing. And it was just so...
So is that St. Louis garb or is that New York garb?
Well, he's from New York, so he's wearing New York
garb
in St. Louis.
Okay, that's what
yes.
Okay.
So he's wearing what the script describes, and I was like, this is just makes the whole thing just so much more convincing. The fact that he's
I need to meet... I really do want to meet this writer, and supposedly he still lives here or something.
Yeah,
because... Being a St. Louis native and living in St. Louis, I can tell you there are many people that came from the East Coast.
Yeah.
And they called it...
They were like this prototype kind of...
Well, but they called it going out west.
Yes.
Which is St. Louis. Okay. And no, they really, really thought they were going to like this desert of cult,
right.
No culture existed,
right.
No this, no that. And many of them were surprisingly happy that St. Louis was what it was. It was not the huge city, but it still afforded, some of the other things that, and people even from Chicago coming to St. Louis who were like, thought they were downgrading.
Yeah. Well, it's
so that's funny that he recognizes that prejudice or that whatever.
That kind of trope sort of things that are happening. But yeah, it's very interesting play. But that just was interesting to me that the clothing made it so much more convincing.
Well,
and it's funny because he says something about button-down collars. He was like, button-down collars are terrible. And like, two of the other guys who were reading, they were wearing button-down collars. And
well, they're the most common.
Yeah, of course I was, this is not like the reason that this guy got cast,
right.
Like you can put anybody in a suit, or whatever. But I thought it was so interesting how much clothing plays a role in our lives.
And this is a really good idea for a podcast, is clothing and about clothing and class through the, through the centuries and art and how your clothing means more than people think it means. It wasn't just to cover you.
Oh, sure.
Sure. So that would be a nice podcast to talk about some of that stuff.
Absolutely. All right. Well, I think that was all of my end of year questions.
That's it?
And I will post these.
Do we have any resolutions?
Well, I think that, saying what you want to sew next year.
And saying what I'm not going to sew
and what you're not going to sew.
For other people. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. Do you have a resolution other than that?
That's it. To stand fast, to take care of myself and my family right now.
Yeah.
And not worry about other people. And let's look at it this way. I'll learn to sew. If I have a garment issue, I can take care of it. And all you people who didn't learn to sew, too bad, right?
Well, and I think that,
And there's people out there that are willing to do it. Right.
Yeah, you don't have to take on other
I don't have to do that anymore.
You don't have to take on a problem just because you have
I have the solution, right?
Yeah, you don't have to do that. Yes, it's not your
responsibility.
Oh my
God, I feel like so mean right now.
What's new, right? I mean, come on. Be yourself.
I'm usually fairly pleasant.
No,
in public anyway.
I mean, I think that it's very apparent that it's like you can have, an enjoyable time sewing for people and not sewing for people, and it's not your job.
Although,
it's not,
what you need to put in your library, your librarianary, which I call it, like the stuff that you need to answer back to people. Oh my gosh, Diane Conti, is that her name? No, wait. I can't. Oh, I'm so sorry. I can't remember. But it was in
the group.
It was in the group today, in the Facebook group, and someone had said that her mother-in-law, I think it was Sierra's mother-in-law, said, "Oh, you need to fix all these things for your father-in-law for Christmas." And she's like, she brings this up now,
right,
X amount of days before Christmas and all this, and doesn't and our same basically conversation takes place is what people expect of us, those who sew and those who don't understand those who sew. And she said, you answer with, and I'm paraphrasing because I can't remember, but thank you for this suggestion, but I've already bought his gift. Ooh, so wonderful.
Thank
you. Put that in your brain and pull that out.
There
Just
you
remember,
go.
you always thank them for the suggestion because you're putting it back on them. Thank you. What a great idea. But
now what I was thinking she should do, actually, if she wanted to do this, like say that she was like, my skill and this.
You're going to say something that's already posted,
whatever.
But go ahead. Let me see what you say.
Make her a little quote, like gift card.
We had coupon. People suggested gift certificate. I said a coupon book, and then someone else said just do one and say I'll do 4 more for you or whatever.
Yeah.
And all those are good suggestions, except I'm sorry. I love, that's a great suggestion, but I've already, because then screw them. You've told them, you've taken care of it.
Right.
You don't have a problem picking out this gift. You've already done it.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. There you go. Okay, well, like Mom says, screw them. So you can get to us on Instagram. We are at SewHereCome.
Merry Christmas, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy holidays.
I'm so excited for the new year. You can go to Instagram as well and follow at Zede Donahue and remind her to take pictures of her projects so that I can blog about them for her. Okay. As she's recovering dog beds. She recovered this gorgeous dog bed. Took no pictures, I don't believe.
I can take a picture of it right now.
No, that's not what I need. I need process photos.
How many of those dog beds have I made?
How many photos have you taken?
A lot. I just don't know where they are.
Okay, great. All right. So go to Zede's Instagram. Tell her to take pictures for Mallory and for you. And you all need to have a lovely and safe holiday season and New Year if you're traveling or whatever. And, just screw them. Take the stress off yourself. Okay.
And everybody, when you go to my Instagram and tell me to take pictures, you also want to go to Mallory's and tell her to be kind to her mother.
Yeah, sure.
So long and so happy.
Thanks for listening to Sewing Out Loud. For even more expert sewing advice, visit sewhere.com.